Hey there, how's it going? And welcome to the Pro Tools 101 2022 edition exercise tutorial. This will be exercise tutorial, as you can see on the screen, number 4. So yes, just basically pull open Adobe Digital Editions if you wish and open up exercise 4. And definitely open up Pro Tools and get ready to follow along. Okay, so let's get started. As you can see, exercise 4, they say it'll take about 45 minutes. That's give or take, depending on how slowly you really want to, concentrate on following each step, really concentrating on where each button, each file comes from. But it's a pretty accurate duration, I believe. And lesson 4, we're looking for lesson 4, Mambo. So to show you where it is, it will be it'll be on your own computer that you're using. So it'll be slightly different than where mine is. But Pro Tools Exercise Media, Pro Tools 101 Exercises, Lesson 4 Mambo. There it is. So first thing you want to do is this. Open up Pro Tools. And then what I like to do is, all I got to do is double click on lesson4mambo.ptx. That will just open up the session right away. Boom. There we go. Now let's see what they want us to do. Okay. Changing the counter. This is a music project, but the main counter is not displaying bars and beats. Changing it now will make life much easier for us. So it looks like it's now minutes and seconds, but we want to change it to bars and beats. So up here is the counter. Right here, the triangle right here lets you choose different time frames. I myself, when I'm doing videos, I like having minutes and seconds and time code as 2 different counters up here. And I'll show you how to do that in just a second. Here, they want you to switch it to bars and beats. So click the little triangle, bars and beats. Now, if you click this triangle again, you might see something that says show sub counter. This is a very valuable thing, which I encourage everybody to do, even though I don't know if they really talk about it in its exercise yet. Click on this, and you'll see you now have a second counter that you can look at. For this one, go ahead and put it on minutes and seconds. What this does is it lets you know, it shows you where you are in your timeline in both bars and beats and minutes and seconds. Pretty cool. Good saving habits. I fully agree with this. Use file save as. Save a new version of your file, and he's suggesting to keep the file name and then add your name and today's date after it. That works. Let's go ahead and do that. File, save as. And what you'll see here is, this is the cool thing about Pro Tools in its effort to keep you organized. It by default will save it to your session folder. So I'm just going to name it with my initials, actually. And that's pretty much all you have to do too. Or you could do what they say. You could do your initials with the date. Just less typing for me, and I'm always a fan of that. So I'm just going to add KT. And again, this is in the session folder by default where it's saving it to, which is where our audio files, our bounced files, our clip groups, our video files, and our session file backups folders all reside. Very organized. Okay, as you can see, we've now named it. Next up. Starting in slip mode. The bass part isn't too bad, but at around measure 9 before he tuned his bass while recording. Not a problem. Okay, so we need to be in slip mode and trim the clip on the bass track from the beginning of the clip So the clip starts about measure 18, which is about one measure before the playing starts. And then trim off some of the silence from the end of the clip so it ends around bar 60. Okay, easy enough. So the cool thing about all these audio programs is they let you see your waveforms. As you can see, here are our measures. We're in bars and beats. Measure 1, measure 5, measure 9, measure 13, measure 17, measure 21. And he's right. It looks like there's a whole bunch of silence here. And then it looks like it was fiddling around. And then they started playing. Started playing around measure 18, right after 17, as you can see up here. And then it looks like they let the recording go well past the end of the session. So we're going to trim that off as well. So this is our trim tool up here, as you can see. When you hover your mouse over the different tools, if you give it a second or two, it'll show you what it is. Here's the trim tool. We want to make sure we're in slip mode. In chapter 4, you should have learned about, or in this chapter, you should have learned what these different modes do. For this particular, they let you do different things. They let you edit differently. They let you place clips differently. So you should have learned what each one does. And for this particular step, we're going to do slip. Slip. Make sure we are in standard trim mode. And then when you hover your mouse over the edge of the clip, you'll see a little bracket. So what I want you to do is I want you to click and hold and drag. And as you do that, watch your counter. He wants you to cut off the first 18 measures. So as you drag this, your measures will read up here, and when it gets to 18, that's how you know when to stop. So trim, click, hold, and drag to the right. Okay. There we go. Now, see where it says cursor right here? I'm going to do this one more time. You see where it says cursor right here? This shows you where your mouse is. See, as I move my mouse left and right, it shows me where it's located. Also, when I'm actually performing an action, it shows me in the start where it's located. But for now, just look at the cursor as I move this. And we want to move it to where it's about a little over 18. Doesn't have to be exact, but anywhere around 18/1. There we go. And we'll go to the end, and you'll see there it is, the bracket, but now it's faced the other way. Click and hold and drag it to where the cursor says 60. All right, about 60/1, anywhere 202, 400, anywhere around there is fine. He's just being approximate right now. There we go. That looks a lot cleaner. Okay, now the majority of our work will be in grid mode. Activate absolute grid mode. The color of the grid button will be blue. Okay. Just under the counter display, check that your grid lines are displayed. I'll show you to do that. And set your grid value to 1 bar. Okay, so here are our edit modes. We were in slip, now we're going to go to grid. Just click on it. And as you can see, there are 2 grid modes, absolute and relative. We're sticking with absolute for now. Relative's a little advanced. I mean, it's easy to understand, but for this exercise, we're just doing absolute. Then, if you go over here to where it says grid, you'll see, at least on mine, the word grid is lit up. You'll see there are some very solid vertical lines in here, and then there are a bunch of faint ones. So Oh, I see. Actually, yeah, they're all there. Great. So you'll see that when you click on grid, those lines disappear. Those lines represent the grid. So right now the grid is invisible, and now the grid is visible. Invisible, visible. We want them visible for this part of the exercise. Then we go over here, again, with the little pop-up triangle. We click on this. This tells Pro Tools how often we want to see a grid line. For this particular exercise, we want to see a grid line every bar. Watch what happens to these grid lines when I change it. When I change it to a half note, then we see basically grid lines every half note. And again, for those who are into music, this will make sense to you. For those who aren't, just know that bars and beats are a way of measuring time in music. Because when someone's playing a song, they need to know how long to play something. You could say, play something for 30 seconds, but if it's all about keeping a rhythm, instead you want to say, play it for 4 bars, or play it for 4 bars and 10 beats, or something like that. And that lets them know 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, how long to play something using the measure of time known as bars and beats. So we're setting our grid to bar, and each one of these lines represents a bar in time. So using the grabber tool, when I move this, watch what happens. See how it moves very what's the word I'm looking for? Like in chunks. It basically snaps to the grid line, the grid line, the grid line, the grid line. If we were in slip and we wanted this to start right on the grid line, it's so slippery that getting it right on the grid line, it looks like it's on the grid line, but I can't really tell unless I zoom way, way, way in, and it looks like, look, I'm just a little bit off. So that's why we go grid mode. Grid mode forces the clip to lock to the grid lines. That's why we like it. So editing is a repetition process, so it's going to require some patience and perseverance. Let's take the saxes first. So drag lesson 4 saxes clip from the clips list onto the saxes track. Place copies of it at bars 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Okay, it looks, wow. How interesting is this? Okay. This tip right here we're going to investigate as well. So we're going to place a saxes clip onto the saxes track at bar 1. Here's saxes right here. Here's the saxes thing. This is bar 1. So boom, right there. I literally dragged it from the clip window and put it at bar 1. Now it says to do it again at bar 3. So how do we know where bar 3 is? A couple ways. Number 1, use your zoomer tool to zoom in so you can get a more detailed look of your editing timeline. Now I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the different bars because that is how I set my grid. So now I'll go back to the grabber tool, grab this, 3, 5, 7, 9. So I could do that over and over, which is what the instructions are here. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. But this is the way I like to do it. As an alternative to dragging each clip from the clips list, you could use the grabber tool to drag a clip that's already in the track, holding Option or Alt if you're on Windows to make a copy. So check this out. So I'm basically be placing copy after copy after copy after copy. So I'm going to hold in the Option key, click and hold, and the next one has to start at bar 11. Click, hold, and drag, and it makes a copy. So if you're in Pro Tools and you need to make a copy of a clip, and put that copy somewhere else, hold down Option or Alt if you're in Windows, and drag. Much faster than going verp. Okay. So let's see what the other numbers are. 13, 15, 27, 29. Oh wow! I should just push this off to the side here. 27. Oh my God! Look at all this. What a wacky exercise! I'm just seeing this now for the first time. 15, 27, 29. Okay, so I put in a few. There we go. 15. Okay. Option. 27. What else is there? 29, 31, 33. 29, 31, 33. Now I scroll. I think the next one is 44. And then 46, 48, 50, 52, 54, 56, and 58. All right, so starting at 44. 46, 48, 52, 50, 54, what was it? 56 and 58. We got it. Wow, this is definitely an exercise, that's for sure. Okay, so it looks like we're doing this over and over again. So we're gonna do something similar. I would suggest, you can watch me do it, but trumpets. We're gonna basically do the same thing, but for different elements. Trumpets, we're gonna drag it to 19, 21, 23, 25. So this is what I'm gonna do, just to make it easier. I'm gonna make this a little smaller in size, and that way I'll have this over here. There we go. I'm just making my Pro Tools window smaller so it's easier. Okay, so trumpets, 19, 21, 23, 25. Got it. So let's zoom in here. Grabber. So 19, 21, 23, 25, 27, 29, 31, 33, 39, 41, 48, wow, 48, 50, 52, 54, 56, 58. Okay. Okay, guitar one. Oh my goodness. This might seem tedious, but believe you me, audio for cinema is just as tedious, but in my opinion, in a more fun way. But they're both tedious in their own way. Okay, guitar one goes to 13. Okay, 13, 15, and then so you might say, how do you get more room in here? Well, see this window with tracks right here? If you go down to the bottom, there's a little arrow right here. Click on that and watch what happens. It hides the track window and gives you more edit window space. So this little button opens and hides the track window. Same thing for the clip window. See that? But I need the clip window open for this. But I basically am hiding the track window to give me more space so I can do this a little faster. Okay, so 15 and then 23, 25, 27, 29, 31, 33, and then 39. $41, 48, 50, 52. Okay, just like this. Yeah, a lot of these are just in unison with each other. Okay, now let's do guitar 2. Oh my God. He's really put us to the ring here. However, it makes sense because this is definitely something you gotta get used to. And this will really lock in what this lesson is all about, getting to know these tools. And seriously, if you try doing this in slip mode, you would be trying to get it just lined up just right, and you wouldn't be sure. You see that gap right there? When you're in grid mode, you are forcing the clip to lock to the grid, which makes doing this a lot easier, which is awesome. So let's see, 17, 19, 21. You can go all the way up to 31 like this, right? Yeah, okay. Oh, hold on. And you can undo. If you screw up, you can always undo it. Just like most programs. Okay. Oh, let's see, 31 to 4, all the way up to 41, and then we skip a little bit. Then we do 41, 44, 46. What is this gonna sound like? 48, 50, 52, 54, 56, 58. Okay, now piano. Okay. Piano starts at 17. All the way up to 41. Okay, cool. Okay. And then 52, 54. Okay, then it takes a little break until 52. And you can see, look at these lines up here. See these lines? See, it shows you, see these little red lines? That shows you, no matter what track you're on, you can sort of track where the beginning and ending of the clip you're moving will land, which is super helpful with stuff like this. And you can always, like I said, look at your counter. So here's a start and end. Watch what happens here. This next one is supposed to start at 54. Watch the start counter. Ready? Boom. See that? 54 to 56, 56 to 58, and then 58 to 60. Okay. Ooh, hi-hat. Now get some drums going on. And probably a good idea to save it, but we are auto-saving every 5 minutes, which is good. Hi-hat. Okay, hi-hat's gonna start at 5, so drag goes in 4 hi-hat clip. Oh, it's just called hat. To number 5. 5, 7, 9. All the way up to 33. This is why it takes 45 minutes. Oh my God. Nuts. Okay. And then 39, 41. 44, 46. Okay, got it. And then it's back to that. Everything seems to start up again at the same spot. Okay. Kick drum. Okay, so it looks like the kick is happening pretty much the entire time. Kick 1 and kick 2. Okay, so kick 1 starts right at the beginning. And then we've got 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15. Ooh, it skips 17 though. All right. Oops. $13, 15, 19. And then next one starts at 19. There we go. 21, 23, 25, 31, 33. Oh, and then stops at 33. Got it. Save it. I'm totally paranoid about saving. And then we start again at 44. Looks like we're in unison. Oh, maybe not. 33, then 44. And we go all the way end. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, last but not least, kick 2. Looks like kick 2 follows the exact same pattern as kick 1. So that'll be easy. I'll just follow the kick 1 up above to know where to place all this. And I apologize. The next lesson I'll start using this microphone that you probably see in the picture. I'm just using my Macintosh microphone because I'm in a hurry. So I said I was going to get this up earlier. And I didn't feel like hooking up my mic preamp, which would have just taken 2 seconds. But you know how it is when you're in a hurry. Okay. Oh, jeez Louise. What's next on this crazy thing? At this point, your grid should look something like this. Okay, so one thing I did was I screwed around with the bass. Remember I was moving it around? You might have moved the bass track around with me. So what I would like you to do is take the bass and move it to about right there. You want the end clip of the bass to match about the end of these guys, like this, just visually. So you'll notice that all the tracks you constructed play on longer than the bass track. This is easily fixed, and you could stay with the same grid value you're using right now. Using the trim tool, trim 1 bar from the end of all tracks except the bass track. Okay. First of all, we were screwing around earlier, right? I was showing the difference between grid and slip by moving the bass track around. So it appears that the bass track is supposed to exist in a specific spot. So this is what we're going to do. Let's go back to the beginning and see what they said to do for the bass. Trim the clip on the bass track at the beginning so the clip starts at about measure 18, about 1 measure before the playing starts. So that is what we want. So this is the bass track. We want to start at measure 18. Here's measure 18, measure 18. So just, if you screwed around like I did earlier, just take your freshly trimmed bass track and start it right there. Right there. So the clip starts right at 18. Because that's where they want it to be for this exercise. Okay. Now let's skip back down to where we were before. You'll notice that there's let me zoom this in a little more so it's easy for you to see it. There we go. Okay. Okay, this is easy fixed, you can stay. Using the trim tool, trim one bar from the end of all tracks except the bass track. This changes each clip at the end from being a 2-bar clip to a 1-bar clip. Okay, so let's see what he's talking about there. Use the zoomer tool and hold it over the end of the top clip. That way it'll zoom into that section. Okay, so what we want to do is, using the trim tool, trim this back 1 bar. That's what he's asked us to do. And as you can see, everything is now going to end right where the bass ends. Pretty cool, huh? He says to do it for everything except the bass. You've now got 2 1-bar kick clips at the end of the respective tracks. Use the grabber tool, drag a copy of these clips so they start a bar at 43. Okay, you go to kick 1 and kick 2. Use the grabber tool, drag a copy of these clips. Okay, making sure I understand this here. So, kick 1 and kick 2. Here we go. So, using the grabber tool, drag a copy of these clips so they start at bar 33. Got it. So this is bar 33. They want this to, let's see. Oh, got it. Okay. So we want to take this and see. Option. Click. See what we're doing here? So he wants to start these 2 kick drum tracks 1 bar earlier. But as you can see, this is a 2-bar length clip. That's okay. We can click, hold, copy, and drag this back. And as you can see, it will overwrite part of the clip. But, you know, there you go. Then, let's see, drag lesson 4 drums 2 clip onto the drums track at bar 19. Okay. Drums 2 clip onto the drums track at bar 19. Okay, you got it, buddy. What are we doing here? Here's drums 2. And the drums track is right there. Let's find bar 19. Where'd you go, drums 2? Where'd you go? I had you. There you go. Whew. And again, look at your counters up there to see where you're going to drop stuff, because you want to drop it at the beginning of 19. You want to look up at start. See, if I dropped it there, it would start at 18. If I dropped it there, it would start at 19. If I dropped it there, it would start at 20. I want to drop it at 19. Boom. There it is. Then drag drums 2 clip on drums track again, this time at 35, and trim it so it ends at 43. All right, man, you guys are getting some good practice here. That's for sure. Okay, here's 35. Drums 2, right? I want to start at 35, but then trim it to where it ends at 43. And because we're in grid mode, as you can see, it's very easy to do that. Again, look at your start and ends up here. You want this to end at 43. Boom, just like that. Then drag it on the track one more time, this time at bar 44, and trim it so it's at 59. Verse 44, as you can see with the start, and trim it so it ends at 59. Just like that. And then drag the final crash clip onto the drums track at 59. So, final hit right there. You call it final crash, final hit. Same thing. Or wait, no, it's not. Drag final crash. Oh, okay. Final crash onto the drums track. So it begins at 19. Got it. Okay. So drums track. Final crash. Boom. Right there. Starts at 59. And again, we're only able to be this accurate to do exactly what they want because we're in grid mode and we're lining everything up with the grid. Save it. Oh, you still want to play it right now, don't you? Let's wait a second though. There's a nice snare riff that would fit in well, but it's not a loop like most other clips. So we're going to stay in grid mode, but change our grid value to 1/16. Okay, let's go up here, grid mode. Let's go down to 1/16. So we're going to make these grid lines much closer together, but this will let us be a little more fine-tuning with how we place our clips. They'll still be rigid and defined to the grid. It's just that now the grid is going to have more specific spots in which to place things. There we go. So when we zoom in a little bit, see all these lines here? That's because we changed to 1/16 of a note. If you change to 1/8 of a note, there are lines, but not as many. If you change it to 1/32 of a note, there are more lines. For this part of the exercise, we want it on 1/16. There we go. Okay. Drag lesson 4, drums 1 onto the drums track so it starts at 18-1-4-80. Okay. Drums track. Okay, here's 18. All right, that's what they want. So drums 1. So when I drag this in here, you're gonna want to look at the start row and you want to see 18-1-4-80. And that is the spot that we want to drop this drums. Because remember, bars and beats are measures of time. This is like saying drop it at 4 minutes, 12 seconds, and 2 frames. It's the same idea, except it's using different modes of measurement. So drums 1, drop it at 18-1-4-80. Oh, I gotta zoom. There we go. Okay. 18-1. 18-1-4-80. See that? Go ahead and drop it. Boom. There it is. And we were able to get that precise spot because we made our grid a little more fine-tuned. If you placed your cursor a few measures before the fill, you'll find that it seems a little too long. Using the trim tool, trim the beginning so it starts at 18-3-240. Again, this is the composer's instructions. We need to do what they say because this is their piece. So trim tool, trim this to where it starts at 18-3-240. Right there. Boom. And now we've got a nice drum fill. And like I said, if you're unsure what bars and beats numbers mean, don't worry. We'll explore this in chapter 6 really soon. Oh my goodness, really? Look at all this stuff. He's really diving in. Last hit. As it stands now, the whole arrangement ends with just a bass note and a cymbal crash. Let's fix that. So we're going to go into spot mode. Oh, spot mode's cool. Drag lesson 4 final hit onto the final hit track. Check this out. spot mode. So you might remember spot mode is a time code or a time-based mode. So we're going to place final hit onto the final hit track. So make sure you're in spot mode, use your grabber, take the final hit, and literally just drop it anywhere. Doesn't matter, because watch what happens. Open it up. It's asking us where we want to drop it. So if you're working on a project or a session and the sound designer or the composer or whoever it is says, I want this sound to occur at this specific time, you can use spot mode to literally drag and drop it into your track, and then a window will pop up asking you what time code or time reference you want. So change the time scale to minutes and seconds and type in 1:55:800. So even though we're in bars and beats here, in here we can change it to whatever we want. In this case, the composer didn't give us a bars and beats moment. They said put it at the 1 minute 55 mark, and Pro Tools goes down to the millisecond, which is pretty cool. So it's 1 minute 55 and 800 milliseconds. Oops, sorry. Oh man. Oh God. Hold on. 1:55 800. Oh my God. There we go. And then hit OK and watch what happens. We zoom out. Look, it popped it in right there. That's 1:55 800. See, look. See where this is right here? 1:55 800? That's where this is. Popped it in right there. So when you're done, your session should look something like this. Let's look. Nice. Okay. Oh, some sweetening. There's one track that's still empty, the breakdown effects. Switch to slip mode. Drag less than 4 breakdown effects to the effects track. So the sound of the clip begins around bar 35. You could take some time to find a timing to suit your tastes. Okay, so let's go into slip mode. I call this chaos mode because you can do whatever you want. So they want this to start around bar 35. So let's find, there it is, breakdown effects right there. So let's zoom in. Here's bar 35. We're in slip mode. Let's do the grabber. Take the breakdown effects and just pop it in. They said just pop it in around 35. I'm gonna get as close as I can because we're not in grid mode. So wherever I drop it, it just drops. It doesn't snap to any sort of grid line. I'm just gonna put it right there. So it looks like it's something that they want to have right in this little empty space right here. So this is the part they're gonna leave to us to figure out if we want to fine tune it or not. So I'm just gonna play it for a second. First I'm gonna save it. Then I'm gonna play it. And go to your selector tool and go ahead and just select, just a couple seconds before and see how it sounds. I like that. I think we nailed it the first time. What's cool about it is that they start up right on this bar. So it's like boom, 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 da, 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 and then they start going off. That works pretty perfectly. Probably what I would do is I would just kind of bring it over just a touch more, just like a millisecond or two. There we go. And then you can play it again. That way they started right on. So yeah, that's what's cool. You go into slip mode and then you just push stuff around, really get creative with it. Then save it, Well, first you should play it back and listen to it because this seems like it's pretty damn cool. And second of all, save it, but take a picture of it. Send it to me in the exercise 4 assignment, and then you were done with exercise 4. Good job.